All right, here it is, the first mission for the Battletech Sword and Dragon House Kurita campaign. So mission one's going to be a recon mission. So in this mission, basically, House Kurita, the Sorenson Sabres have sent a lance to do recon of an area against the planetary defense of the planet that they have landed on. Because of the nature of playing the first mission in this track, the pursuit lance is now available, so the command lance and the fire lance are available. I went with the fire lance, and we'll go through the mechs that are specific to that lance. But in this particular mission, the defender is going to set up half of their lance, rounded down on the board, and then we're going to go from there. So, yeah. That's the first mission. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forces. So for the Sorenson Sabres, the Fire Lance has landed on this planet. It's going to be consisting of a Panther 9R, a Trebuchet 7K, a Longbow 0W, and then a Rifleman 3N. On the opposing force, an unknown mercenary company is assisting the Planetary Defense Force, which consists currently of a Spider 5V, a Vindicator 1R, and a Wolfhound 1. And those are the two forces that I'll be facing off today. Again, this is a recon mission, so the point of this mission is to identify the mechs on the opposing side. The Sorenson Sabres will need to identify these mechs and then escape the map with at least 50% of their force. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into turn one. All right, here we are, turn one. So the Sorenson Sabres have elected to come up from this side of the board. Obviously, on the other side will be the mercenary force, part of the planetary defense force that is in place. In this scenario, up to half of the planetary defense force lance can be on the board, rounded down. Since I have 3 in this lance, it's 1, and I've chosen to put the Wolfhound 1 in position here. So at this point, the main thing that we have to do on the Sorenson Sabres side is to get within 4 inches or 4 hexes of an enemy mech, and in lieu of an attack, ID what it is. So that's the whole point of it. By turn 3, the remaining mechs from the Planetary Defense Force will come onto the board, at which point, again, we'll need to ID the mechs, and then have to have 50% of the Sorenson Sabres leave the map at that point. So, all right, we're going to get started here. Okay, rolling for initiative. The Comstar dice will be Sorenson Sabres, and the black dice will be the Mercenary Lance. We'll see who gets to go first. So we have a 6 for the Sorenson Sabres and a 4 for the Planetary Defense Force, which means that the Mercenary Force, the Planetary Defense Force, can move first, and then followed by Sorenson Sabres. So we will come back after the movement phase, and we'll see where everybody's at. All right, here we are after movement. The Wolfhound walked his 6 right to right there, basically changing facing. We had the Panther jump onto there. The Trebuchet walked up to there. We had the Longbow run to there, and then the Rifleman, and I forgot to put the dice there, he walked to there. All weapons are way out of range, so basically we're just going to go ahead and end turn 1 and roll off for initiative for turn 2. Comstar dice are Sorenson Sabres, and the black dice are the Mercenary group. So looks like we got an 11 for the Mercenary group and a 3 for Sorenson Sabres. So we will come back after movement. All right, here is the board after all movement is done. We had the Trebuchet walk through water to get to this point, and then the Panther ran, so he won't be able to shoot this turn. The 2 slow guys over here are way back at the end of the map. I had them walk up as far as they could, but they ended up entering woods, which hampered their movement. And obviously the Wolfhound, which is the fastest currently on the board, moved up to there, who is now able to shoot at least with his large laser against one of these two. Alright, so the Wolfhound is going to attack the Panther with his large laser. That's a gunnery of 3 on the Wolfhound, plus an attack modifier of 1, which brings it to 4. The target movement modifier for the Panther 2 because he moved 6 hexes, and then another 2 because of the medium range between the Wolfhound and the Panther, which brings it up to 8. So I need to roll an 8 up. And I get it. And it's going to hit on the 10. He took 8 damage to the left arm, leaving it with only 2 armor left on there. I'm going to have the Trebuchet attack the Wolfhound with both its PPC and AC5, all within medium range because there are 11 hexes between the two. Alright, we're going to go the PPC first against the Wolfhound from the Trebuchet. So gunnery of 3, attack movement of 1, target modifier of 2, and then distance of 2, which brings it up to an even 8. So this is for the PPC. That was a miss with a 6, and now the AC5. We need an 8. And that is also a miss, and we expend 1 ammo from the Trebuchet. So not a good attack round for the Treb. Alright, so I'm actually going to forego the attack from the longbow because all it has is like long range, or LRM 20s and LRM 5s, and I really need to identify that Wolfhound and don't want to risk damaging it too much. So I'm actually going to attack with the Rifleman. The AC5s are at medium range at about 15 hex. Alright, so for the autocannon 5s, gunnery of 3 with a movement modifier of 1, TMM of 2 for the Wolfhound, and then 2 for the distance, which brings it up to an 8. So this is for the first AC5. That is a 10, and that's a hit. And that is 5 damage to the 9. And then the second AC5 is also a hit with damage to the 4. 5 damage to the 4. Alright guys, so the Wolfhound took 5 damage to the 9, which is the left leg. And then 5 damage to the 4, which is the right arm. So at this point, none of the other mechs on the board will attack. We're going to go into the heat phase. So the Trebuchet actually took 11 heat, and it has 11 heat sinks, so it's able to dissipate that. And then the Rifleman actually took 2 heat from using the autocannons, and it has 10 heat sinks, so it was able to dissipate that. The Wolfhound, on the other hand, took 8 heat, but has 10 heat sinks, so that dissipates that. So we're going to go on to turn 3 and roll off for initiative. Alright, here we are at the top of turn 3, rolling off for initiative. So the Planetary Defense Force gets 8, and Sorenson Sabres gets 4. So we're going to come back after movement. Alright, here's the board after movement phase. Everybody on the Sorenson Sabres have moved up. In fact, we have the Treb within 4 of the Wolfhound, which will give us an opportunity to identify in lieu of attacking. Also, because of turn 3, the other 2 lance mates for the Planetary Defense Force have moved up into the board. The Spider jumped 8 to that position, and then the Vindicator walked into this position. So we're going to go to the shooting phase for the Planetary Defense Force. Alright, so the Wolfhound is elected to shoot at the Panther right there. They're at a distance of 5. So we have a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 1, target modifier of 1. No modifier for distance, but a +2 because of the shooting through heavy wood. So we have a roll of 7. So I need a 7. And I get it right there. And then it's going to hit the 9. So that's 5 damage from 1 medium laser to the 9. The second medium laser is going to hit. Hits. And then to the 11. So that's 5 to the 11. And then the last medium laser hits. and that's 5 damage to the 7. Alright, so the Panther took a lot of damage. All the armor has been blown off of the left arm of the Panther and has actually taken 3 damage to the internal structure. At this point, I'm going to roll for a critical to see if that hit to the internal structure did anything. That is a roll of 11. Alright, since I hit an 11 with that roll, I have to roll for 2 critical hit locations. Alright, so I got to do 2 rolls here, and this is to the left arm. We're going to see what kind of critical it was. Okay, the first critical damage or critical hit roll to the left arm is a 1, so that is a shoulder hit. And then the second one is a 6, which is roll again. And it is a 5, which is a roll again. And a 1, so 2 hits to the shoulder. Okay, so the Panther took 2 hits to the upper arm, left arm. And then the 3 remaining damage went into the left torso arm. Okay, so I'm going to elect to have the Panther shoot back at the Wolfhound. Alright, so we have a gunnery of 3 on the Panther, plus 1 attack modifier, plus 1 target modifier, and then nothing for distance, but 2 because of shooting through heavy wood. I'm going to elect to fire the PPC first, so I need a 7. And that is a miss. So the PPC missed. But now I have the SRM-4. We're also going to be shooting at medium range. So that's a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 1, target modifier of 1, distance of 2 for the SRM, and then a shooting through the heavy wood, which brings it up to 9. This is for the SRM. And that is a hit. Okay, so with the SRM I have to roll for each hit. And that's going to be 4 of them. So the first one is 2 to the 8. The second one is 2 to the 9. The third one is 2 to the 7. And then lastly, 2 to the 6. Okay, so those SRMs hit 2 to the left leg, 2 to the left torso, 2 to the center torso, and 2 to the right torso. Now we're going to move on to the PPC. Alright, so we have a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 1, target modifier of 1, 0 for distance because we're within 5 and we're shooting with the PPC, which has a medium range of 6, so we're below that. And then 2 for cover, which brings us up to 7. So I'll need a 7 for the PPC. That is a miss, so that is it for the PPC. We're going to move on to the next one. So we've elected to have the Spider target the trebuchet there. So gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 3, and then a target modifier of 2 with a distance at long range, which adds it up to 3, and then shooting through light wood, which brings it up to 12. So we're going to need boxcars in order to hit with the first medium laser. That's a miss. The second medium laser, that's also a miss. And we're going to move on to the next mech. Alright, so the trebuchet is elected to forego its attack against the Wolfhound in order to identify, because we are within 4 hexes. So we've now met one of the goals, which is to identify the Wolfhound. We're going to move on to the next mech. Okay, so the Vindicator is elected to attack the Panther at a distance of 15 hexes with the PPC. So we have a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 1, target modifier of 1, and then a distance long range, so that's 4, and then intervening terrain because we have 2 hexes of level 1. So that brings it up to an 11. So this is with the PPC. We're going to try to hit with an 11. And that is a miss. And that will be it for the Vindicator. We're going to move on to the next mech. Actually, we're going to forego the last 2 attacks from the longbow and the rifleman. I want to get them up closer so we can start IDing these guys. We're going to go ahead and go to heat. So the Panther got 13 levels of heat, but 13 heat sinks, so that's all done there. The Wolfhound got 9 levels of heat, but it's got 10 heat sinks, so that's cleared off there. The Spider got 6 levels of heat, but has 10 heat sinks, So that goes there. So that's the end of turn 3. We're going to move on to initiative for turn 4. All right, initiative for turn 4. So the Planetary Defense Force Mercs got 5, and Sorenson Sabres got 10. So the Planetary Defense Force will move first, and then we will come back after all mechs have moved. All right, here we are after the movement phase. I ran the Trebuchet to there, which then prompted the Vindicator to walk to there. Then we moved the Longbow to there, and the Wolfhound moved up a little bit closer, but into the woods, so now got a little bit of protection there. The Panther stayed right there. The Spider walked over here, and there's a Spider, and it now has side arc to the Trebuchet, and then the Rifleman walked from there to there. So we're going to go with the first attack of the turn. That's going to be the Trebuchet within 4 hexes of the Spider. So foregoing attack to identify the Spider. So now we have 2 out of the 3 mechs out of the Merc Lance identified. First attack of the Mercenary Lance will be the Spider into the Treb. So we got a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 2, target modifier of 3, and then 1 for the intervening terrain. No modifier for distance because that's short range. We're going to need a 9. So this is for the first medium laser. We need a 9, and that's a miss. And then the second medium laser, that is a hit. That's an 8 to the 10. So that's 5 damage to the 10. All right, so the Panther is actually going to attack the Wolfhound, who is in heavy wood. Gunnery of 3, movement of 0 because he just stood still. Attack modifier of 0 because he just stood still. 1 for the target movement modifier, 2 for the distance on the SRM, and 2 because of heavy wood. That brings us up to 8. So we need 8 for the SRM4, and that's a miss. And now for the PPC, that is a 3 gunnery, 0 for attack modifier, 1 for target modifier, 0 for distance because it's short, and 2 for intervening terrain, which brings us up to 6. So 6 with the PPC, and that is a hit. And that's 10 damage to the 5. So that was 10 damage to the 5, which is the right leg. That was a pretty devastating hit to the Wolfhound's armor. Continuing on with shooting phase. I just realized that after 4 turns, I've been alternating shooting when really one side should do all the shooting and then followed by the other side. So moving forward on this battle report, I'm going to be doing that. We're going to go Rifleman into the Wolfhound right there. All right, so the Rifleman's going to fire into the Wolfhound with 2 AC5s and 1 large laser. So we'll go with the AC5s first. So that's a gunnery of 3 with an attack modifier of 1. Gets a TMM of 1. And then 0 for distance because we are in short range. And then 2 because the Wolfhound's in heavy wood. So that's 7. I need 7 on the first AC5. And I get it. That's 5 to the 5. Now the second AC5, I need a 7. And that's a miss. And then finally the large laser we need. So that's 3 gunnery. So that's 3 gunnery. 1 attack modifier. 1 TMM, and then 2, so again a 7, and that's a miss. So that was just 1 hit, and the Wolfhound got hit on the left or the right leg with 1 bit of armor left on there, and we're going to go to the Longbow now. All right, so the Longbow is going to attack the Spider. That's a 3 gunnery with 1 attack modifier compared to a 2 target modifier. And then 0 for distance and 0 for terrain, which brings us to a 6. So we need a 6 for the LRM-20. So the first LRM-20, that's a hit. That's a hit with an 11. So the first 5 damage of that LRM-20 is to the 9. And then the second one is 5 to the 5. And then the second cluster hit is 5 to the 12. And then finally, 5 to the 12. So the next LRM-20, you still need a 6. And that is a hit. So the first 5 to the 4. And then the next 5 to the 8. And then the next 5 to the 8. And then the last 5 to the 9. Okay, so I was tallying up the damage on the spider, and it took 5 to the head, plus another 5 to the head, which actually brought 4 down. 4 down into the torso, but I'm gonna have to roll a crit because we blew past the head's armor. All right, so we're rolling for the critical hit. It is a 7, which ends up being not a critical hit. So my question, guys, is whether or not, because of the damage it took, two hits of 5 to the head, I guess I would have to roll another critical. So actually I'm going to roll the other critical, and that's 7 as well. So it says no critical hit, but honestly, if it took 2 hits of 5 to the head, has this been basically, is the mech destroyed at this point? Because that's a big hit. I don't know if whether like hits to the head beyond blowing past the armor actually destroys the head, the internal structure, even though there was no internal hit. If that's the case, then I believe that the spider is gone. However, I'm going to treat it as gone for the game, only because I'm not sure. If I'm doing that wrong, go ahead and comment below, let me know, and then I'll correct it for the next time. But I'm going to consider that the spider has been taken out. All right, so that is it for shooting phase for the Sorenson Sabres. Now the outside of the spider, which actually alternated fire earlier in the round, which I'm now correcting. What's left is the Wolfhound and the Vindicator. So we're going to actually have the Wolfhound try to attack the Panther here. All right, so the next question I have is that the Wolfhound is actually firing out of heavy wood. Would that count as getting that +2? I'm going to do it. But if that's incorrect, please let me know in the comments below. So we got a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 1, with a TMM of 0 because the Panther stood still, and then heavy wood, which is 2, so that is a 6. So I need a roll of 6. The Wolfhound's going to actually attack with 3 medium lasers. So the Wolfhound's going to attack the Panther with 3 medium lasers. So this is the first one. We need a 6. And that is a hit. That's 5 damage to the 10. And then the next medium laser, that's a hit. 5 damage to the 6. And then the last medium laser, that's a hit. And that is 5 damage to the 8. All right, so the Panther actually took a devastating hit. So that most of that damage for the 10, which is the left arm, is gone. So the internal structure is gone. I moved one of the damage into the left torso there. I'm not sure if I need to roll a crit on that. If you guys can let me know in the comments below. Then it took more hits to the torso, leaving it with 1 armor there, and then 5 to the right torso. So it actually did not lose, let me see, it did not lose any weapons, so that's fantastic. It just lost that arm. But I'm not sure if I was supposed to roll a crit after it took damage into the left arm's internal structure. Please let me know below. So that's it for that attack. All right, so last, the Vindicator is going to shoot his PPC into the Treb. We have a gunnery of 3, attack modifier of 1, a TMM of 3 for the Treb, distance of 0, and then 1 for intervening terrain, which is the light wood there. So we have an 8. So we need an 8 for the PPC, and that's a miss. So that is it for the shooting phase for all the mechs. And now we're going to go into heat. The Panther racked up 13 heat, but it has 13 heat sinks, so that's gone. The Longbow racked up 12 heat, but has 13 heat sinks, so that's gone. The Rifleman racked up 10 heat, but has 10 heat sinks, so that's gone. The Wolfhound racked up 9 with 10 heat sinks, so that's clear. Spider is done. And then the Vindicator racked up 10 heat, but has 16 heat sinks, so that's clear. All right, so that is it for turn 4. We're going to move on to turn 5, initiative. All right, top of turn 5, we are rolling for initiative. So the Planetary Defense Force rolled a 10, and Sorenson Sabres rolled a 6. So we're going to move on to movement phase with the Sorenson Sabres starting it off. All right, so here we are after movement for turn 5. The Treb ran to here, and then the Vindicator jumped over the Treb to get its rear arc. Then we had the Longbow run to here, after which the Wolfhound kind of walked back and then turned. The Panther jumped, and then the Rifleman walked. So we're going to go to shooting phase. We're going to go Vindicator into the back of the Trebuchet. All right, the Vindicator is going to use its small laser to shoot into the back of the Treb. We need a 10, and we miss. And now the medium laser, we need a 10, and we miss. So that's both a miss. All right, next up, the Wolfhound into the Longbow. We're going to fire all 3 medium lasers and large lasers. So for the first medium laser, we need a 6. That's a hit. That's 5 to the 7. Next medium laser, that's a miss. Next medium laser, that's also a miss. And then finally the large laser, I need a 6. And I get it. So that's 8 damage to the 3. All right, so on to Sorenson Sabres shooting phase. The Trebuchet is going to forego shooting at the Vindicator to identify it. So now all mechs have been identified in the Planetary Defense Force Merklance. That's it for the Treb. So the Longbow can't attack because it ran. We're going to move on to the Rifleman. All right, so the Rifleman is going to attack with all weapons to the Wolfhound. We're going to go with the AC5s first. 3 gunnery, 1 attack modifier, 1 TMM, 0 for distance because it's short, and then 2 for intervening terrain because the Wolfhound is in heavy wood. So that is 7. I need 7 for the first AC5. That's a miss. Next AC5, that's a miss. And then I will need a 9 for the first medium laser. That's a miss. Second medium laser. That's also a miss. And then we're going to fire with the first large laser, and I will also need a... Sorry, that was a 9 for the medium lasers, which I didn't get anyway. I'll also need a 9 for the first large laser, which I miss, and then the last large laser, which I also miss. So that was a bad shooting turn for the Rifleman. He's acquired a lot of heat at this point. So the Panther is going to use its PPC to attack the Wolfhound. 3 gunnery, 3 for jumping, 1 for TMM, 0 for distance, and 2 because it's in heavy wood. So I need an 8, and that's a miss. And that's it for shooting. We're going to go on to heat phase. All right, starting with the Panther, gained 10 heat and has 10 heat sinks, or 13 heat sinks, so that's clear. The Treb didn't shoot, it just ID'd. The Longbow did not shoot because it ran. And then the Rifleman actually gained 24 heat with only 10 heat sinks. So that brings it down to 14 heat, which means I need to roll to see if it shuts down on a... Well, I can avoid it on a 4-up. So I need a 4-up. And I got it. So it does not shut down, but it is still at 14 heat. Next up is the Wolfhound. Wolfhound gained 17 heat. It's got 10 heat sinks, so that brings it down to 7. So it has a +1 modifier to fire at this point. And then finally, the Vindicator only gained 4 heat. It's got 16 heat sinks. So we are going to go to initiative turn 6. So at this point, I've ID'd all of the mechs in the Mercenary Lance for the Planetary Defense Force. I need to get my remaining mechs off of the field through the attacker's starting area. So we'll see if we can get that done. All right, top of turn 6, rolling for initiative. So it looks like Sorenson Sabres are going to win initiative with a 10. And yeah, so we'll move on to the movement phase. The Mercenary Alliance has to move first, followed by Sorenson Sabres. All right, here's what the board looks like at the end of movement turn 6. I had the Vindicator jump to there, but the Trebuchet just ran past the Vindicator. Then I had the Wolfhound move up to elevate terrain right there, followed by the Longbow running to there, and then the Rifleman walking there, had the Panther jump to there, and now we're going to go to the shooting phase. All right, so both the Treb and the Longbow ran, which means they can't shoot. We're going to have the Rifleman shoot AC5s into the Wolfhound because I don't want to gain any more heat since it's still at 14 heat. So first AC5, we need a 5 up, and we do not get it. The second AC5, we need a 5 up, and we do get that, so that's 5 damage to the 11. All right, so next up, the Panther is going to shoot its SRM4s into the Wolfhound, so we'll need a 7. So this is their SRM4, and we miss. All right, next up is the Wolfhound into the Longbow, actually. So we're going to go with the large laser, and for that we need a 6. So 6 up for the large laser, and we get it. So that's 8 damage to the 9. That also was with the modifier +1 because of the heat that the Wolfhound generated, so we still got it. Next up is the first medium laser, so we need a 9. So 9 up for the medium laser. That's a miss. For the second, that's a miss. And for the third, that is also a miss. All right, so we're going to go with the Vindicator into the Longbow. We're going to use the PPC first. So that's gunnery of 3, attack modifier 3, TMM of 2, 0 for distance, but 2 for intervening terrain, which includes a light wood and the storage container there. So that brings it up to 10. So I need a 10 up on the PPC, and I get it, and that's 10 to the 6. Next up is the Vindicator's LRM 5, so we're going to do the same thing. We need a 10 up, and we miss. All right, so the Longbow took 10 to the right torso. Okay, now we are moving into the heat phase, turn 6. So the Rifleman actually gained 2 heat, bringing it up to 16. It's got 10 heat sinks, so that brings it down to 6, which gives it a -1 movement point. Yeah, -1 movement point. I think that's how it works. And then the Longbow and the Panther didn't do anything. Wolfhound, on the other hand, is up to 24. Has 10 heat sinks, bringing it down to 14, which then gives it a shutdown. So we have to see if the mech shuts down. We need to avoid a shutdown, we need a 4 up. Gets it, so it's fine. And then the Vindicator has 12 heat, but because of 16 heat sinks, that's all gone. So, and that is it for turn 6. We're going to move to turn 7, and again, I'm going to be pushing hard to try to get Sorenson Sabres to get off of the map. All right, here we go. Initiative for turn 7. And it looks like it is the Merc's turn here, the Planetary Defense Force. So Sorenson Sabres will move first, and then we will be back after movement. All right, here we are after the movement phase. The Trebuchet actually was able to run off the board. We actually ran everything else, so nobody can shoot on the Sorenson Sabres side. However, the Wolfhound can still fire, so we're going to have him fire against the Panther. All right, so we need a 7 from the Wolfhound to the Panther. We are going to use the large laser. So we need a 7 up, and we miss. So that is it for the shooting phase of turn 7. Not a lot going on. Everybody's trying to book it from here. Treb already got off the map, trying to get the others off the map. but both the Vindicator and the Wolfhound are trying to prevent that from happening. So now we are going to go to the heat phase. Since the Wolfhound was the only one that actually attacked this turn, it gained 8 heat from the large laser, bringing it up to 24. It's got 10 heat sinks, so it's bringing it back down to 14, which still needs to be addressed because of the shutdown. So we need a 4-up to avoid a shutdown. And we get it. That Wolfhound really knows how to dissipate heat. So it is still at 14 heat. And now we have to dissipate heat for the Rifleman. And it does. So this is it. We're going to move into turn 8 with initiative. All right, top of turn 8, initiative. Looks like the Sorenson Sabres win initiative, which means that the Merc Lance, the Planetary Defense Force, will have to move first, and then we will go from there. All right, here we are at the end of movement. So the Vindicator jumped to there to try to get a rear arc on some of these guys. Have it on the Rifleman there with intervening terrain right there. The Rifleman actually ran up to that position right there. Then the Vindicator walked to there and turned so that he can get rear arc on the Rifleman as well as the longbow, but the Panther was able to move off the board, and the longbow ran to there. So technically, before turn 8, we actually got 50% of the Sorenson Sabres off of the map, but we have to continue on and finish this up. We're going to go into shooting phase. We're going to go Vindicator to the Rifleman. All right, so the Vindicator is going to use its PPC against the Rifleman, and we need a 7-up, and we miss. Now we're going to shoot with the medium laser, and we need a 9-up, and we hit. And so that's 5 damage to the 5 damage to the left leg. Rifleman really hadn't taken much damage this game, so that is it for shooting with the Vindicator. We're going to go to the Wolfhound. All right, the Wolfhound is electing just to fire the large laser into the Rifleman. So that's a 3 gunnery, 1 attack modifier, 2 target modifier, 0 for distance, but 2 for intervening terrain because of the 2 light woods there. So we need 7. So we need a 7, and that's a miss. So that is it for the shooting phase. We're going to go to the heat phase. Okay, neither the longbow or the Rifleman fired because they just ran, but the Wolfhound did bump himself up to 22 heat. So we're going to remove 10, which brings it down to 12, and it actually is -2 movement points. And then the Vindicator went up to 13, but with 16 heat sinks, it's all clear. That is it, the bottom of turn 8. We are not going to go to turn 9 because we actually met the objective by getting 50% of the Sorenson Sabres off of the board. Even if we were to go to a turn 9, unless the Wolfhound and Vindicator could take out both the Rifleman and the longbow, they would still make it off the board. So that is the final turn of the game with all objectives met for the Sorenson Sabres. So we're going to get 75 war chest points for the ID and scan of all the Defenders' forces, and then another 25 for the escape of 50% of the Lance. So made a lot of mistakes in this game. Again, I'm pretty new. Didn't play a lot of the more advanced rules, but just try to make it as fun as possible. And obviously showcase the mission Recon for the Sword and Dragon campaign. So the next video that's going to come up from the channel will be basically the after action report. We're going to go through everything that went right and wrong based on your feedback of my gameplay, but also we're going to do the business of trying to get into the second mission and accumulating all the war chest points and finding out what we can do with them and all that fun stuff, because obviously a campaign in Battletech is something new to me, and obviously learning as I go along. But hopefully this is a video and battle report that you enjoyed, and that you are looking forward to the next one. If you like this video, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new Battletech campaign, battle reports, unboxings, all that fun stuff coming out of the channel. And then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That is the best way that I can personally interact with you and chit-chat you about Battletech and any other game that we cover on the channel. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Battletech Sword and Dragon House Kurita campaign coming out of Wargaming Noob.